Thank you very much. So on behalf of Rovio, my name is Wilhelm. I run the games business unit at Rovio as of the beginning of this year. And it's true, Nick's dropped some humbling numbers already now, and I'll share a little bit about where we are at the moment in terms of numbers, and also where we're going from this point onwards. I wanted to start with just a brief look backwards to the industry, where we're coming from, and what the status is of the industry right now. So this is where it all started a few years ago, also in Finland. I gather a lot of you played that game on your Nokia dumb phone back then, and I usually do this trick. How many of you filled up the screen with the snake? Ah, there was more. Come on. Good. Yeah. So you invested heavily in that experience back then. Who would have known that it would turn into the industry that we're in right now, right? I didn't see that coming, but I'm sure that some of you already saw it back then. So an industry was born, and this is end user revenue plotted over time. And last year was a big year for mobile games, and this year is going to be an even bigger year for mobile games. So I've plotted here a few milestones across the years to look back at the history of our industry. iMode kicked things off from a visual point of view in the Far East. We did take iMode here to the West as well, but we didn't do a particularly good job at it. It was rather J2ME and Brew technology that kicked off things here. And soon thereafter, a few individuals in Finland were inspired enough to found a company called Rovio. It was actually called something else back then and rebranded to Rovio a year after. It was growth pains in that initial part. Who remembers Crazy Frog? Yeah. Who could forget, right? So Jamba EU was sued for some business practice that didn't resonate well with consumers. It was particularly about their subscription policies back then. Also, the year that I joined mobile gaming, them getting sued was not a fault of mine, though. Then what I label the mobile operator era, or kind of the mobile operator valley of death in the mobile games industry. Let's do another exercise. Who was working in mobile games back in the carrier era? It was quite different back then, to be honest. Times have changed quite significantly. iPhone released 2007, but it didn't release with an App Store. The App Store came a year later, kind of as a result of the platform being hacked and individuals wanting to have other applications on their phone than the ones that Apple provided. So the App Store came out, and I labeled this the Robin Hood moment, because the 70-30 revenue split used to be the other way around during the mobile operator era. So us developers used to get a lot less money for the content that we sold. And initially also with Apple, it was perceived and understood the wrong way around, and there was an outcry in the developer community. Why are you robbing us of our money? And there was another message sent out that it's in fact you developers are getting 70%, not the other way around. And then something remarkable happened. A big game released in 2009 at the end of the year, and it grew into quite a phenomenon. It was the first true mass market phenomenon game originating from mobile. It was by no means the first big game on mobile. There had been huge games up until that point, but nothing kind of transcended and rose from the mobile games media. iPad released in 2010, and now I've done this exercise a few times already. What is the hockey stick that you see there?
Android.
No. But good guess. Anybody? There's a clear hockey stick, right? It starts rising, the end user generated. Come again? No. No. Nope. What is interesting is that in mobile games and in this industry, the art has followed business rules, and the business rules changed at that point. And it's quite simple. In-app purchases became technically possible. So that was the birth of free-to-play on mobile. It had a profound effect on how the industry operated and also how growth was generated from that point onwards. It's just interesting to see how that happened. So next, how is now time spent on the devices today? This is interesting because it's really playing in our favor as an industry. More time is spent in native applications now on the phone than on the browser. So it plays into all of our hands as we create mobile games, and hence there's billions to make. It's a big industry. Number one mobile game generated over $1 billion in revenues last year. Daily revenues were huge. There's been over 100 billion, think about that, over 100 billion App Store downloads to date. And the mobile gaming market last year was about 25 billion. Huge, huge industry. If we put that into perspective, really comparing apples to oranges here, but putting things in perspective nevertheless. Digital music was last year 6.9 billion. The US box office for movies was 11.1. Global mobile was 25. Global games, including mobile, was 91. It feels, whenever you show these numbers in Hollywood, they don't really believe you. It's not really perceived as, you hoodie people, that can't be true, but it is true. It's a huge industry we're operating in. It's also still today a gold rush. So the resemblance is obviously striking between the two. We are operating still in what can be categorized as a gold rush. And as a result, it has become a really crowded place. There's over 300,000 mobile games on the store. Average revenue is below 6,000. Average dev cost is above 25,000, and the median revenue is 500. And there's also a lot of games launching every day. So as a newcomer, this is becoming more challenging at the moment. And there's unfortunately also signs of growth slowing down. This is, on the left side, this is publicly listed mobile games companies' revenue. So it doesn't really reflect the whole industry, but it's a snapshot of certain things going on. And on the right side, in fact, the player engagement, so the time spent in native games on devices seems to be dropping, unfortunately. So then you ask yourselves, well, where are those players going? What are they doing if they're not playing our games? And this is the answer. At the moment, messaging and social and entertainment is growing quite significantly when you look at how players are spending their times on native applications. It's just an interesting piece of data. We should turn that trend, right? We should create games that pull the players and keep the players in a better way. So you've all probably seen those slides before, you've seen those numbers before. I wanted to give a snapshot of some of the things that we at Rovio pull out from market data at the moment. This is the download trend. No surprise in North America. No surprises that Android has overtaken on an overall basis. This is the revenue trend, pointing the right way. iOS still significantly ahead of Google Play in North America. And this is where it becomes interesting. This is the dollar per download trend in North America. So just pairing the two together, seeing what does the revenue generated per download look like at the moment. And it's starting to become quite big on iOS. And the good part here is also that it's less top-heavy at the moment than it used to be. So at the moment, we have about 37% of in the US, 37% of top 10 of top 1,000 revenue is generated in the top 10. It used to be much larger. So over the past 2 years, it's decreased from 50% to 37%. What does that mean? That means that there's more space to generate revenue in the top than there used to be. So that's good news for all of us. It means that if you no longer have to militantly focus on top 10 to kind of think that this is what you're targeting, but it's a wider spectrum. Probably not news to us here, but it's just good to look at how things have developed. Another interesting bit of information is here, development of genres in terms of their revenue over time. Up there, no surprises, the battle genre. Puzzle has been fluctuating quite a lot, probably because there was some huge unicorn phenomena a few years ago that have kind of since kind of leveled off. Casino is still growing significantly, and what you see there on the lower side is signals that collect and battle could also be labeled modern RPG, is starting to really grow in the West. Collect and battle is globally the largest genre, but it isn't obviously the largest genre in North America yet. You also see simulation, probably some Kardashian action happening over 2014 and beyond. And I want to say racing is an interesting one because it looks completely different when you look at console games than when you look at mobile games. Racing commands quite a large share of revenue on console, whereas on mobile it looks as though, and this is not bad-mouthing anybody who has created big success in racing, it still looks like the market hasn't necessarily been cracked yet. So that's a few data points. And now, where's Rovio in all of this then? So I wanted to start by summarizing our last year, 2015, in a short video, just to show you what we accomplished and what we did over 2015. So here we go.
This is gonna be awful.
Yeah, I deserve that.
Excuse me, I just squeaked out. And they are coming for you.
One level done.
Champion for Earth in Angry Birds Friends.
Wait, I'm about to score.
Big in Japan. My. It's time to put on your angry face.
Nice chat with you.
that was our last year. Looks to me, I look at that, it looks like a busy year. This is how we label us. We're the world's leading entertainment company with mobile games at our heart. What does that translate to in numbers? We've had over 3 billion game downloads to date. We have an integrated, what is basically a TV channel in our games that has had over 5 billion views, over 2 billion YouTube views, quite a large brand awareness globally for a brand that was born 6 years ago, and quite a large Facebook audience. Shout out to Nick. So Rovio Games then this year and beyond. And here I'll share a few bits and pieces of information that hasn't been shared very loud and openly so far. But the themes are fairly simple. Continue our revenue growth. Double down on performers. I'll share bits and pieces on all of these on the next slides. Increase speed of innovation. We are looking at insight and data, trying to understand where this market is heading. And we believe that in a year or 2 years from now, it might be new genres that break into top 10 in the Western world. And there's, of course, the movie coming out at the end of this spring. It's not only about Angry Birds, and I'll share a few other things as well. Naturally, Angry Birds is hugely important across what we do, but we are growing new IP as well. So this is our revenue growth over the years. We've grown in revenue across Rovio Games every year since the launch of Angry Birds. This question I haven't asked before, but who in the audience knew that we've grown in revenue every year since Angry Birds? You work at Rovio, you should know. Okay, do me a favor, tell everybody out there. Makes my job easier. Our target this year is big. We want to grow significantly this year. We won't settle for something small. We want to rock this year. And we have some good performers on the market to help us get there. Nibblers is an internally developed match 3 game. Launched it fairly slowly last fall. Optimized it for growth, and we're scaling it up significantly at the moment through performance marketing. It's doing well in the U.S. The ARPDAU number is quite large, and the daily conversion is at a good level as well. And naturally, I don't have those numbers here, nor do I really remember them off the top of my head. But naturally, the retention engagement level is very good in the U.S. on Nibblers. Another one is Angry Birds Pop, a bubble shooter developed in partnership with Outplay in Scotland. Also significant numbers, and also a game that we are scaling up through user acquisition at this moment. And the third one, which is a mystery one, mid-core game in early soft launch. Doing very, very well. Our initial targets, as I believe they should be, are on early retention, as those are really the matters that are challenging to fix over time. I think our goal was 30% D1 retention, and from the very get-go we reached 55, and we've gotten it up to 60% now. So it's looking promising. Innovate. Just a few snapshots of what is to come. On the right side, that's basically concept art from the mystery mid-core game. And on the left side, this is bird art from an Angry Birds game coming out late this year. So you can see that I think we're challenging our own rules in how we approach our brand and what kind of audience we're trying to appeal to. So we are trying to, across the games business unit, we are trying to age up the audience We do have a fairly sizable adult and older audience in our games, but we're actively trying to age it up across the board. And then there's the movie. Some might label it the most expensive mobile game trailer ever. It's certainly not an inexpensive production. We're putting about $100 million behind it in the production, and similar size, actually much more on marketing, and it's hopefully going to succeed. We don't know yet. We feel happy about where it's heading, and we hope that all of us in the room are going to feel happy about where it's heading in this spring. It is, after all, it is the first kind of blockbuster level movie originating from the mobile games business. And I think that's a remarkable milestone also for our whole industry. To end this, I wanted to show the latest trailer for the movie. Some of you might have seen it, but hopefully not everyone. So here we go.
Ow!
Oh, I'm horrible.
Mr. Red? There seems to be a recurring issue here. Come on, baby! Anger!
Am I a passionate bird? Oh. Yes, but why does it matter that we're not the same?
Don't look, Bobby. The anger might be contagious.
He started it.
Hurry! Something's coming!
Greetings! I am a pig.
What's a pig?
Show them how we do it.
How you doing?
Is that what I think it is?
Excuse me, those are fragile, right? Not yours.
You are making our guests feel unwelcome.
And you're not asking basic questions.
Well, this just got awkward.
Doesn't anyone see what's going on here? The whole world is in danger, and it's up to us to stop them.
Oh my god.
If anyone knows what these pigs are up to, it's Mighty Eagle.
It's Mighty Eagle's Lake of Wisdom!
Get out of there! Don't spit in his mouth. No, don't spit it back! Oh, don't swallow it.
Wow, it's him. No.
Horrible turn of events. Horrible.
That ending. Thank you very much. Legend says that he's actually still scrubbing, Chuck. Do we have time for any questions still? Or?
We have time for one question. And if no one's going to ask, I'm going to ask one. So, Rovio, according to Google Translate, means bonfire. Is there any sort of history behind the name? You mentioned it sort of changed the name once. So tell us the history. Why Rovio? What the name means?
That's a good question. I think Rovio, it's true. It's bonfire, and it has even a slightly deeper meaning. It's really like almost like a raging fire. I think it has certain ties in the company culture. That there's quite a lot of activity, quite a lot of things going on everywhere. So I think it has a cultural background and a cultural meaning for the company.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We've run out of time, but stay around. We're going to start again in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.